looks like a political protocol, or it looks like a political ploy of BJP, to defame and derail Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra. The BJP is not much worried about COVID, but they are more worried about the impact of the Yatra. That's why, they exempted everybody. They exempted 140 crore people. They never chose 140 crore people to communicate, but they chose only Rahul Gandhi to communicate. They did not choose the airport authority or the airlines. They did not choose the railways or the railway stations. They did not choose public transport or the bus depots or the bus stands. They did not choose the state governments to write to the local train authorities. They did not choose the public event places, but they chose only Rahul Gandhi because they have a vindictive mindset. They know the impact of the yatra.
Okay.
And rightly Rahul Gandhi ji has said कि नफरत के बाजार में मैं मोहब्बत की दुकान खोल रहा हूं, और बीजेपी को लगता है कि इनके नफरत का जो बाजार है वो राहुल गांधी जी की मोहब्बत की दुकान से उजड़ जाएगा, उखड़ जाएगा.
But
that's why they are worried, and that's why this political protocol was issued.
The health minister says that the reason I highlighted Bharat Jodo Yatra is because actually elected representatives from the state of Rajasthan wrote to him, pointed out that people who are attending the yatra are turning out to be positive. There's a case about your newly elected chief minister in Himachal as well. So that's the justification for sending that letter to Rahul Gandhi. But you didn't answer my question. Now, it may be that the Delhi is coming to the... It may be that the rally is now coming to the national capital, but it's been operating without any problems for so many months. What is the rationale to suggest that because it is coming to Delhi now, that is why the BJP is now worried? Aren't you overestimating yourself?
See, the way BJP has done pick and choose program, they should have communicated this to the entire country, 240 crore people. I have given you various examples.
But sir, from this yatra, there are people who were returning positive, and there was an alarm raised about the yatra.
Let them complete.
Yeah.
Let me complete. See, the BF7 variant was where it was found first. It was found in Gujarat in October. Two people were found over there. In Odisha it was found. That time the elections were going on. Why Mansukh Mandviya did not communicate to the Prime Minister Amit Shah and to the entire battery of BJP leaders who were there in Gujarat, who were doing all the prachar over there? So somewhere it looks that they are biased and they are against this yatra. They want to damage this yatra. They want that the kind of impact Rahul Gandhi's yatra is creating, that impact should be reduced.
But the yatra
this is the political ploy of BJP.
For months. Mr. Sapra, the yatra has been successfully on for months. How can you say that somebody has some evil design?
So now they are fearing it's entering Delhi, na?
So what is the big impact in Delhi?
Now it's entering Delhi, and from Delhi. So that you ask the BJP what is big about yatra entering Delhi or Haryana or Punjab. Or
but you are making that charge, so I thought I'll ask you.
When it has covered 106 days, when it has covered 106 days, they will complete 150 days. A person who's traveling on foot by 3,500 kilometers, BJP wants to defame that person who has been wiping the tears of poor people, the poor females, the poor farmers, the poor workers on the way. He's trying to wipe the tears. He's trying to assess the ground level situation in the country. And BJP is fearing that this ground level situation,
of a
BJP
gathering,
will get exposed.
that is also a reality. But I'll allow Shehzad Poonawalla to now come in. You've heard, of course, what the Congress leaders have been saying.
6 minutes, yeah.
What the Congress leaders have said through the day, and what, of course, Rahul Gandhi said earlier today. He's saying that this is just an excuse that you're propping up now, given the timing of your actions, the letter first and the alarm later, and that's why there is a suspicion that this has been purely done to target the yatra.
I just want half the time Charanjit got, and
yes,
I hope he won't...
Shehzad, you'll get it. You can complain when you don't get it.
No, I hope he won't interrupt me. I was not complaining about you at all. Now look, unfortunately, some people have made Modi Virod the most important task in their lives, not Corona Virod. And these people are those same people. When we said the vaccines are good, take the vaccines, they created vaccine hesitancy. When even if we say that take oxygen and start breathing oxygen, they will say no, oxygen is bad for health, and that's the kind of attitude they've developed. And let me tell you, these are the same people who will put parivar over protocol. They will put parivarik hit over desh hit. and they are continuing with that. Now, there are 3 or 4 questions that I need to address. First of all, the letter was not specifically targeted to Bharat Jodo Yatra. There was also a letter by Rajesh Bhushan written to all the states on 20th of December, saying that genome sequencing needs to be done. We need to keep our efforts on to tackle the COVID. Last 2-3 days, there has been a 55% rise in the COVID cases, and therefore new protocols and the review is being done. What is the problem in that? Now they said defaming of the yatra is taking place. Sir, your own leader Nakul Nath has come out and said that there are more people in my Up Yatra than there are in Bharat Jodo Yatra. So the impact of that yatra is not being felt by the Congress leaders themselves. So you don't need to worry about us. We are very happy. Wherever the yatra went, we actually won elections. In Gujarat, we saw what the result of the yatra was. So you can continue with your yatra. Nobody has told them to stop the yatra. All we are saying is that please follow the COVID protocols.
But
and
on the issue of protocols,
I'm coming to that. I understand
that
what
there
your
are
question is.
actually no protocols that are mandatory right now.
Right.
So why have you specifically
no.
sent a letter to Rahul
I'll
Gandhi
tell
on
you.
Bharat Jodo Yatra alone?
Let me address
Why
that
not
question.
first tell citizens at large what the protocol is?
Let me address that question. First of all, COVID appropriate behavior continues till the time COVID exists. COVID exists and COVID is on right now, and therefore COVID appropriate behavior needs to be followed. As far as Rahul Gandhi's yatra is concerned, which other political yatra on a large scale led to the testing positive of one chief minister, not just one chief minister by the way, not just Sukku, apart from Mr. Sukku, another MLA, Ravi Thakur, has also tested positive apparently for swine flu. Now, I want to ask 2-3 specific questions of Mr. Charanjit Singh Sapra, and he should answer them on record. Firstly, Mr. Sapra, Mr. Rahul Gandhi was hand in hand with Sukkuji, who's tested positive for COVID. This is the picture from his yatra. Has Rahul Gandhi got his test done? Has Rahul Gandhi isolated himself as a responsible person? Point number 2. Rahul Gandhi today came out and said that COVID is a bahana. Till yesterday, Shivani, the Congress people were saying credit should go to Rahul Gandhi. He was the one who said COVID aa raha hai. Today they are saying COVID is a bahana. And third, Salman Khurshid has said ki mask pehenna theatrics hai. His statement was broken on your Hindi channel. Now first they promoted vaccine hesitancy. First they promoted the idea that vaccine mat lagao, this is dangerous for your life. Today they are promoting mask hesitancy.
Okay,
is
let him
this
respond.
responsible behavior by any political party? And by the way, if COVID is a bahana, why is West Bengal, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Jharkhand, all these states are issuing guidelines one after the other? All
Even
we have
Delhi,
said is Rajasthan
Punjab,
should also do
which
it.
are ruled by Aam Aadmi Party, and DMK, which is ruled, of course, by your alliance partner itself in Tamil Nadu, are all doing review meetings. So it's not like there isn't a concern over COVID. So I ask you once again, Mr. Sapra, in addition to what Shardad Poonawalla is asking, and before I go to our other guest, did Rahul Gandhi almost commit a faux pas by suggesting that COVID is a bahana? COVID is a reality, sir.
See, COVID is a reality. Everybody is saying that it's a reality, but COVID hasn't come up in India the way it was there earlier during the Delta wave or the first wave. Now, let me give you some facts. When the BF7 was found in Gujarat and Odisha in October, that time India had cases of around 27,000. Today we are having cases, only 4,000 cases, and the government is busy having all these meetings and all. We are not against these meetings also. But why Salman Khurshid mentioned specific, which Shehzad Poonawalla now said, because Narendra Modi yesterday evening, after making hue and cry in parliament, he went to a wedding of Kailash Vijayvargiya's nephew. And there were 5,000 people over there. The entire cabinet of Modi was there. Nobody followed the COVID protocol. Not even Narendra Modi nor any cabinet minister was having even a mask on their face. So this is the double-faced government. That's why Salman Khurshid has said,
okay,
yesterday you went to that wedding and nobody followed the COVID protocol. And today you are talking, giving sermons about the COVID protocol to be followed.
Let me just
I have to
this
bring
is
in
totally a
I
political ploy, a political protocol, not a scientific protocol.
I take all, Mr. Sapra, I take all your blames. Now just tell me one thing, is Mr. Sukku positive with COVID? And Rahul Gandhi is hand in hand with him?
No, you first
No,
answer.
is Mr. Sukku positive? Is Rahul Gandhi hand in hand with him? Did Rahul Gandhi get himself isolated? Sir, please don't interrupt me. Sir, don't heckle. Shivani, I think I should have a time to put my question. It's a 10-second question.
You pose your question, but then stop and let him answer.
My question.
But he has to let me complete the question first.
Yeah, your question is, was Mr. Sukku positive or not?
Question.
He cannot ask another question.
Okay.
Shivani, let me ask both the parts.
Yeah, but Shehzad, you ask the
Shivani,
question
I will
quickly
only
and then
answer
stop
very
it.
quickly. He answers my question.
Yeah, please let me complete. Did Rahul Gandhi A, get himself isolated, and second, has Rahul Gandhi taken the vaccination?
Okay. Mr. Sapra, very quickly, please, our other guests are waiting.
No, Shivani, I will answer all his questions, but he has to answer me the question which I asked.
Which is?
Why was Narendra Modi and his entire cabinet so lenient in yesterday's wedding? Why they went without mask? Why no action should be taken against them? What is Mansukh Mandaviya going to do? Is he going to write a letter to Narendra Modi and the entire cabinet?
I have to bring in our other guest now before I come back to our political guest. Now the point is that yes, the COVID continues to be, Sanjeev, a fluid situation. One day you can't have these meetings in a way where they are perpetual. There will be a day when meetings happen. Before that, there are no meetings that happen. But the question is about the complete change in stance that the Congress party is now adopting. All through the pandemic, it has been saying that the government was lax or late. We were the ones who were alerting the government. But why is it that the Congress party today is acting as if COVID isn't a concern? Do you think they could have struck a slightly different tone while defending the Bharat Jodo Yatra and said that we will follow the protocols and we will ensure that, you know, we don't have people who are testing positive? That could have been an appropriate response.
I think they could have said that, at least half of it, that they will follow protocol, and if the situation does deteriorate or get any worse, then they will think about the health minister's suggestion. But this whole thing is very curious, because I haven't seen ever a central government or any government setup, previous or present, getting so proactive. On 20th December, 3 MPs from Rajasthan write to Union Health Minister. The same day, Union Health Minister writes a letter to Rajasthan government, to Bharat Jodo Yatra. The same day, Health Secretary issues a directive to all the states. It is clearly there is something more than which meets the eye, but we don't know.
What's wrong with that?
Never so many letters. Who gets so proactive? 3 MPs writing the day, and the same day the Union Health Minister takes action.
Now,
cognizance
being
on
proactive
that.
is a
The
problem?
fact of the matter is, this yatra, no, selectively being proactive is a problem.
No, but you
if
yourself
may.
quoted that
Because,
on the
see,
same
like
day, Health
somebody on the
Secretary sent
panel
a
was-
letter to all states as well. So how is it selective? Can I quickly bring in Advaita Kala too? Then you respond. Advaita, was Bharat Jodo Yatra selectively targeted?
Not at all. You know, Shivani, I'm going to just be here as a citizen voice. I'm sick of politics being mixed with COVID. You know, the last 5 days I've spent in hospital, one of it in an ER, with somebody who's suffering from respiratory illness. And trust me, there are enough patients there with respiratory illnesses because of our pollution levels. And there is the specter of COVID hanging over us as well. The Delta wave was not that long ago. I don't care about what politicians have to say, what they need to pick apart. As a citizen on a WhatsApp forward, I've received an advisory from IMA, which has spoken about international travel, which has spoken about going to crowded places, which is giving out all the basic kind of things that we should know by now, because so many people we know and loved died in that Delta wave. So I don't know why we're being so selective and why we're getting into the politics of it. Wear masks up, live your life, don't play Russian roulette with public health, because that's not what is going to make you a leader.
Okay. Sanjeev, that's again the issue here, that you could have responded with responsibility. When Rahul Gandhi comes out and says that COVID is an excuse, it almost sounds like he's denying the fact that COVID is an issue.
COVID is an issue, but why is COVID an issue only for the Bharat Jodo Yatra? Like the Congress spokesperson just talked about the marriage of yesterday. Or look at any place. There are Christmas Eve parties, Christmas parties happening, New Year parties being planned, big bashes. Look, go to any airport, railway station, bazaar, mall. There is no COVID protocol anywhere in the country right now. That's what I meant by being selective. You may not choose to see that as selective. I may choose to see that. That's subjective. You know, that's between you and me. But the fact of the matter that only one group was sent that missive specifically. Ki bhai, either you follow the protocol or consider suspending the yatra. The yatra is in any case will go for a 1 week break after 2 days. I don't see what's the huge hue and cry about it.
I think the hue and cry started because there were
yatra.
people who were turning out to be positive from the yatra, and the yatra as we speak is still continuing, but Shehzad can respond to that.
Yatra
Let me now
se,
specifically,
if there are three people.
Sanjeev, may I? Thank you. I want to quote to you the interview given by Randeep Guleria. I think he's spoken to your channel also, but certainly to other media channels. He said that right now there is no need for panic to start banning flights or to start banning all kinds of social gatherings. Now, a marriage happens once. Kailash Vijay Vargiya's marriage of his nephew is not happening every day on a daily basis, where people and the chief minister is testing positive. To compare that with Bharat Jodo Yatra, which is a continuous engagement of large sections of people without maintaining any kind of social distancing, is quite ridiculous. Secondly, I want to ask Mr. Rahul Gandhi that on one hand you were the one saying that I was the one that alerted this country about COVID, and today you are denying COVID altogether and saying COVID hai hi nahi, it is a bahana. You are saying mask hai hi nahi, mask is a bahana. Is that appropriate for a leader of the stature of Mr. Rahul Gandhi to promote mask hesitancy? We know what they did in terms of vaccine hesitancy. The statements, you remember, lab rats ban jayenge, bachade ka khoon hai, vaccine is not safe for us, don't use the vaccine. All we are asking is that be responsible if the guidelines are coming into play after we have undergone a review and the experts have said that now is the time to start some kinds of looking into
in any
the
case, I
guidelines.
think the suggestion from the health minister was not to stop the yatra or to mandate something else. It was basically to just follow the same protocols that we all as citizens are very aware, Mr. Sapra, that we must continue to follow. It is also our responsibility.
And all of us citizens are following that, we can all see.
No, you may not follow, but this was
Nobody
precisely...
is following COVID
Yeah,
protocol
but when
right
Rahul
That does
Gandhi
not mean
says
that
COVID
it's
doesn't
excuse.
exist.
COVID protocol
Sanjeev,
right now
that's
in this
not an
country.
excuse for a
As
political
we speak,
leader
who is
who's
following
arranging
COVID
a
protocol?
rally
Can I
where
come
the
in?
party
Come on.
itself is saying thousands of people are collecting and gathering and moving together. Come on. I'm in my home, moving
can I-
only
That's
from my
the scene
home to
across
office
the
is a
country.
different situation.
Thousands of people are moving and collecting and gathering
Yes,
all
so
over the
let's
country
raise
everywhere.
awareness.
Maybe there are a few
Let's
thousand
start
more in
raising
Bharat
Can
Jodo
I come in,
Yatra.
Shivani?
Let's not
Shivani, I
undermine
need to
the
answer
strength
you.
raising
of
awareness
basic
so that we
COVID
don't have
protocols.
another
Shivani,
wave.
Yes,
Shivani, can I
Why
answer?
are we resisting
Can
that?
I answer you, please?
I don't
Yes.
understand this. I'm sick
Mr.
of this
Sapra, I'm coming
politics.
to you. 1 second. Yes,
There's nothing
Advaita.
wrong with raising awareness, with coming on TV
Arey
and
bhai,
saying,
you
look,
may be sick of
we
it,
don't
that is your
want to
problem.
be at a delta. We don't want another delta wave. We don't want to be another China. What's the harm in even saying this on TV? Is there politics to say it, to raise awareness, to start wearing masks, to avoid large gatherings? What is wrong with you people?
I don't think that it can be said that it was only the Congress party's responsibility to ensure that. But, Mr. Sapra, because of your own admission and campaign that this is such a successful yatra where thousands of people are gathering and we are seeing the visuals, I'm not trying to take anything away from the yatra, there comes greater responsibility with a program like this. You cannot equate it to all other programs currently. And it is a moving yatra. It is not a stationary gathering.
See, Shivani, number
How does
one,
that make a difference?
the same government,
Yes,
BJP
Sanjeev,
government
that
had
does
issued
make
an
a difference.
advisory
You're almost
in November
sounding
to all the
unscientific now. It
One
makes a
moment,
difference
one
if
moment.
people are moving.
One
Please.
moment,
Well
one
said.
moment. Can I answer?
Yeah, Mr.
please?
Sapra, I'm sorry I
Can
interrupted
I
you. I'm
answer?
sorry. Please go ahead.
Yeah, you are always interrupting, no problem. See, the issue is that the same BJP government had issued an advisory to all the airlines in November 2nd week that now masks are not needed. They had issued an advisory. You go to any airlines, there are no masks. You go to airport, there are nobody is
No,
wearing
that's not
masks.
true. That's not true. I've been
when
traveling
they are-
most of
when they-
October
no,
and
that's
November.
true.
No,
That's
sir.
true.
Sir, there's a difference.
No, that is
Masks were
you must be
mandatory
wearing
till a
masks.
certain period
You must
of
be
time.
wearing masks. But
No,
there
sir,
is a
there's
there is a
difference.
advisory
Again-
of the government.
Again, masks
Please,
were mandatory till a
Shivani,
certain
the
period of
problem
time.
with you is you never allow me
No,
to
I'm
complete.
sorry, sir. I must correct this. Masks were mandatory till
never-
a certain
you
period of
never-
time.
you
They are
never-
no longer mandatory. But in every
No.
flight, in every airport,
Shivani-
they advise you to wear
Shivani,
masks.
I'm sorry to
Those
say, but you
No,
advisories
nobody. No,
have
there,
not
correct,
gone away.
correct.
there was a
Interrupt
advisory
and
that masks are
behavior
not
have
needed
not
now.
gone
Some
away.
people are allowed
you
a
should
free
not
run and
intervene.
some
Let me
people are
complete.
constantly
Let
interrupted.
me complete. Let me complete. Let me complete, please. Let me complete. See what I am trying to say, that this government has never been serious about all these things. Now on 11th March 2020, the WHO, they declared pandemic, whereas Narendra Modi waited till 23rd March. Because they wanted to topple the government in Madhya Pradesh.
Okay,
Likewise,
sir, fair
he did
enough.
Namaste
You can
Trump
continue
also
to
when the
attack
COVID
the
warning was
government
already
on what
on.
it does or
and,
doesn't
and
do.
during
But
the
what
Delta
about the
wave,
responsibility
Narendra Modi
as
was
far
going
as
in
this
Bengal
yatra
and
is
talking
concerned?
about Didi or Didi. He was talking about Didi or Didi during the Delta wave. So this government has never been responsible.
Fair
There
enough,
were so
you
many
attack
deaths just
the
because we
government,
never
but
had
what is
oxygen.
the harm in
we were
showing
short of
responsibility
remdesivir.
when it
we
is
were
your
short. We
program?
were short of tocilizumab.
But
Just
sir,
wear a mask.
No,
currently,
I am trying to say that
currently
no.
the
One
question
more
is,
example.
why
One
don't
more
you act
example.
responsibly?
Shivani. Shivani, I am saying if there are scientific protocols, we are going to follow it. These are political protocols. They should first release a protocol for the local trains in Maharashtra and Mumbai. 60 lakh people travel through these local trains in Mumbai. There is no protocol. Nobody is wearing masks. Why
moving
the
crowds, not
Maharashtra government
stationary.
and why the central government is not worried? Whatever stationary or moving, this is not the reason. They are jam-packed trains. You see in the morning peak hours
So
and in the
because it
evening
is
peak
not
hours,
happening
60
somewhere
lakh
else,
people traveling,
it shouldn't
and
be
there is no
asked
protocol.
of you either.
No,
okay? For someone who said who was ahead of the curve,
I
as
am
far
saying
as
these
COVID
are
and
political
COVID's danger is
protocols. These are not
concerned,
scientific
I am quite
protocols.
shocked by the sudden
This is a
turn of
political
events
ploy.
where the
That's
Congress
what I am
Party
trying
today
to say
feels
again
it's
and
no
again.
longer required to exhibit any responsibility. So, Shahzad, I have 30 seconds only.
You see, Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka,
No, if
Delhi,
there are-
Gujarat,
if there are
Kerala,
scientific
Uttarakhand,
protocols, we will
Bihar,
follow.
all these states.
Okay,
Now,
one by
Charanjit,
one.
you can't
These
keep
are
interrupting
one
every time I
protocols and
speak.
this is a political
You can't
ploy.
keep interrupting every time I speak, Charanjit.
Okay, Shahzad, very quickly.
So,
No, I am not interrupting. I am trying to
I mean, it's
convey
unbelievable.
that
Okay,
what
one second,
Shivani is saying is
but
not
you know,
correct.
this is just
I'll
unfair.
give you-
We will follow scientific protocol.
Okay, sir. Okay, masking is scientific. It's not unscientific. Anyways, now please allow Shahzad to finish. I have 15 seconds alone.
If
Mr.
scientifically it
Sapra,
is said,
please, I request Shahzad.
Let's ask the question of scientific protocol. Is it scientific protocol, Charanjit, that if you come in contact with a COVID positive patient, you should isolate yourself?
Okay. I have to leave it at that. Unfortunately, I've run out of time. I think our viewers will be able to judge after everything that India has been through whether a COVID appropriate behavior is everybody's responsibility or should it only come once a mandate has been given by the government alone. Politics aside, why is there a surge now, especially in some countries, and is that surge because of local policies alone or more? More importantly, what do you and I need to do and look out for in coming months? These are some questions I take to two noted doctors who are joining us next.
राज्यों को जीनोम सीक्वेंसिंग बढ़ाकर सभी पॉजिटिव केसों का जीनोम सीक्वेंसिंग करने की सलाह दी गई है।
नॉर्मल लाइफ लीड करिए, कोविड अप्रोप्रिएट बिहेवियर रखिए, सिम्टम आते हैं टेस्टिंग कराइए और प्रिकॉशन डोज लगाइए।
First up, a quick reminder. Remember, there have been several review meetings that have been held in different states, but the Prime Minister also held a central COVID fight back meeting. He chaired this meeting to review the country's preparedness. Let's break down the 6 big takeaways. First off, he cautioned against complacency and advised strict vigil. He emphasized the need for strengthened surveillance. This is, of course, agencies that have to keep focusing on. He also put the focus on genome sequencing being increased, testing being increased. This is something that the Health Ministry has already asked states to do. Their aim is to test every positive sample. States are also being asked to ensure that they're operationally ready as far as hospital infrastructure is concerned. That, of course, includes beds, ICUs, and, of course, oxygen, which was, at least in one form of the wave, extremely crucial. Adhere to COVID-appropriate behavior, including wearing masks. This is an advisory that everyone should follow as much as possible. Stressing on precaution dose vaccination for the elderly and the vulnerable. There are, of course, the elderly who are extremely vulnerable to the COVID strain, despite, let's say, the vaccinations they may have taken a year ago. And then there are certain categories, people who have already comorbid diseases that continue to be vulnerable, and they especially, he stressed, must be pushed to take their precaution dose. But given that there is an alarm in India and globally, predominantly because of predictions coming out of China, here are some big questions we will ask today. Why is it that some countries are witnessing a surge, and especially over the last 2 weeks, and these are countries that don't have a common thread, but others are not? Is zero COVID that has been talked about so much in China the only culprit in China, given that there is a rise in cases in Brazil, Japan, Korea, and USA also? Will India see a COVID wave like the one China is experiencing now? This is the most fundamental question being debated in India. And can the vaccines that one has taken in India tackle the new infectious BF.7 strain? Finally, should India bring in restrictions right now or bank on precaution? Dr. Isaac Bogoch, infectious disease specialist, Toronto General Hospital, Dr. Hemant Thakkar, Breach Candy Hospital, Mumbai, both noted doctors are joining me, and I thank you for your time. Dr. Bagoj, I want to understand from you, why is it, as I asked, some are witnessing the surge while others are not with the same variant? And I couldn't possibly find a common thread in all of these countries like Brazil, Japan. Some are large countries, some are developed, some are developing, some have seen waves before, some have great infrastructures, others don't. So why is it that some are witnessing it like China and USA as well, but not really a global trend?
Yeah, I think it's fairly complex right now, and I don't think there's going to be a single solution to this. We certainly know there's a seasonal component to this virus, and there's viral transmission that's exacerbated in certain parts of the world based on the season. Usually that's where people are driven indoors, either because it's winter and it's cold, or maybe because it's summer and they need and people are in indoor air-conditioned environments. So there's a seasonal component. The other driving factor might be that there are different variants in different parts of the world, and it does take time for some of the variants to take off and spread. Another important factor is certain parts of the world have different degrees of community level immunity through both vaccination and through recovery from a prior infection, and that will impact how a wave manifests in different regions. So there's likely lots of different reasons for this. One other important reason too is measurement. Some places are just better at measuring and reporting cases than others, and there might be waves in other places, but they're not being recorded or shared. So there's probably a lot of different factors that are driving what we're seeing right now.
Before I go across to Dr. Hemant, also, I want to understand from you, specifically in the case of China, one of the arguments is that because it followed such a strict zero COVID policy, that now when they opened up, they cannot handle the surge. But if you look at the numbers, you've got Brazil, which is experiencing an uptick of 74%. You've got countries like Japan at 42%. You've got USA experiencing 18%. These are not countries that have followed the same zero COVID policy, especially as much as China. So is zero COVID the only culprit in China?
Well, I would suggest that, you know, in a country of 1.4 billion people, they took such stringent measures that right now, relatively few people have been infected and recovered from COVID-19 among 1.4 billion Chinese citizens. And unfortunately, we're going to see a lot more people infected over a short period of time. So they don't have the same degree of what we would call hybrid immunity. That means infection from the virus and recovery plus vaccination. And I'm not suggesting it's good to get infected with the virus. Obviously, we know how devastating it can be and how challenging that is. Having said that, we also can't ignore that infection plus recovery from infection coupled with vaccination at a population level provides rather meaningful protection, especially against more severe manifestations of the virus. In China, what we have is very little in the way of infection and recovery from infection, although sadly that's changing now. Plus, based on the data that we have from China, we also know that they have perhaps under-vaccinated or under-boosted populations with the vaccine, especially those who might be most vulnerable, namely the older cohorts. And that's a recipe for, sadly, a larger wave, plus a larger wave that will have a significant impact on their healthcare system.
Dr. Hemant, this BF.7 variant that is responsible for hike in these countries, especially in countries like China, that India is alarmed with. Now, reports say that this has already existed in India, has entered India since July, but we haven't really seen that kind of an uptick in the number of cases. Is that something that should give us confidence that this variant will not be able to do that much damage in India anymore?
So, you know, India, because of multiple exposure and extensive infection in the community, the herd immunity is very strong. We have, of course, not done genomic sequencing of all the variants, but the current variant which they are attributing the Chinese surge to has been seen and sequenced in our country. I don't think we will suffer the way China is suffering. Because in Hindi, as they say, Jaisi karni, vaisi bharni, China tried to strangulate the virus. China wanted zero COVID. This virus is smarter than us. It's elusive, it trickles out and it goes and infects people. In India, it went through the whole community from city to city and village to village and inoculated everybody. And for a virus, remember, the more infectivity, the greater the drop in virulence. So there has been a significant drop in virulence.
Okay.
So in India, with this, I don't think we'll have a problem, as it is expected, and like China is suffering.
The second big question, doctor, that people in India have is the vaccines that we've taken in India, the vaccines which are currently available as a booster shot, do they still work on these new variants?
See, you have to admit the fact that the vaccines were made 3 years ago, and they were made for the variants that were existent at that time. But the human body has only not adapted to the vaccine alone. It has also adapted to the ambient infection that it was exposed to. The Chinese have never been exposed to an infection. They've been sheltered. They've been protected. It's like throwing out a little boy right from protected house into a big boarding school and he goes for a toss. So the Indian immunity has been exposed to the vaccines and the herd immunity because of infection. But that does not mean to say that I would say take away a booster, because the parent structure of the molecule still remains unchanged. You will definitely get a fair amount of antibody booster by taking the precautionary dose. Undoubtedly, like the influenza vaccine, we'll have to every year or every 2 years come out with a mutant sensitive vaccine. But that doesn't mean that the current precautionary dose is not going to work.
All right. So in that sense, continue to go take those precautionary doses. Finally, Dr. Bagoj, the big question the world is asking, especially us in India too, that this wave that we are experiencing or hearing about in China, which has a large population, as you pointed out, will the rest of the world also see such waves next?
Right. So for starters, I think there's a couple of points. One, there's going to be much larger geopolitical and economic ramifications of this, and I'm not going to pretend to be qualified to talk about that. From a health and public health standpoint, though, yeah, I mean, obviously you have now 1.4 billion more people on the planet who are at risk of getting this infection and perhaps being reinfected. That's just more opportunities for a virus to mutate. There's more opportunities for perhaps a variant of concern to emerge and spread. But I would also remind people too that, listen, the rest of the world has plenty of COVID. Thank you very much. And we do have significant access to vaccines in some parts of the world, although we need to improve access in other parts of the world. And that regardless of the variant that has emerged, Alpha variant, Delta variant, Omicron variant, Beta variant, various sublineages of Omicron variant, regardless, the vaccines continue to do a remarkable job in protecting against severe manifestations such as hospitalization and death. And that's really stood the test of time, and that's fantastic. So yes, of course, we're very concerned about China. We wish everyone in China well. I don't want to see anyone get sick or have negative manifestations of the virus at an individual or population level. But again, I think we're also seeing a lot of COVID elsewhere in the world, and we have tools to protect ourselves and our community.
Well, I hope that continues to be the case. Fingers crossed. Finally, Dr. Hemant, in Indian context, we are seeing the central government raising an alarm, state governments upping their action plan, revisiting their precautions and preparations. What would you like to see the government do as a healthcare professional in the next 1-2 months? Is there need for restrictions, or is precaution enough?
See, the government is now not taking it lying down. They do not want to be caught napping like last time when the surge just came. So they are correctly trying to pull up their socks. Now, I don't want to press the alarm button.
Okay.
But I certainly want to say that if citizens could realize and recognize their responsibilities, they should mask at public places like malls, airports, within planes, etc., and large functions. If they do that, not only will they protect themselves from a potential COVID variant, but also from the RSV virus, H1N1 virus, and so much of air pollution that is going on. The H1N1 is also a virus which is quite lethal. And the mask is not only made for COVID, the mask is made for all viruses. So I would say if the common man or the citizen duty bound wears masks at these exposed conditions where he is exposed to malls and airports and stations and platforms, then he will be doing the country a favor and himself a bigger favor.
All right. Thank you. I do thank both of you gentlemen for putting this into perspective for us and once again emphasizing the role that every citizen needs to play as far as this COVID fight is concerned. Time for a very short break. On the other side, the other big debate of the day. There is a battle of war of words going on between the TMC and the BJP. This after a TMC neta mocked Prime Minister Narendra Modi for the attire that he was wearing in Shillong.
Through the security situation right now, what is happening over there? We can see there seems to be a sort of rally that's being taken out over there in Belgavi. Walk us through this rally.
Well, exactly. You see the Padayatri that has been led by Jayam Mrutyunjaya Swami, Panchamasali Pita Swamiji, main head, in fact, this year, has started the whole rally. And there you see it's actually is going on right now in the visual that you can see there all of the Panchamasali Lingayat, the community members walking along the Jayam Mrutyunjaya Swami, demanding for a 2A reservation from the government. But meanwhile, while talking about the security arrangements, here you can see there is a heavy police deployment, in fact, to ensure that no untoward incident takes place. Now, remember what ADGP Alok Kumar yesterday also stated, that all the elaborate arrangements are all in place to ensure that no untoward incidents will take place, and the whole National Highway 4 of Pune, in fact, where this Padayatra is going on, will be blocked. Now, that's the whole reason, again, why we're getting to see a heavy traffic congestion also over here. There you can see a traffic snarl where, because the community members are walking along with the Swamiji, demanding for a 2A reservation from the government. And therein in the visual you see the KSRP police as well, ensuring that the law and order is in place, in fact, because in a democratic setup everyone have the right to protest, but in a peaceful manner, and no untoward incident takes place. So that's the whole reason why ADGP Alok Kumar also stated clearly that all elaborate arrangements are in place. All the police deployment, the police in fact from a different districts of Karnataka have been called to Belagavi and to ensure that there's a police deployment, no untoward incidents takes place. And meanwhile, peacefully, the whole Padayatra will also go on. But yes, now the whole plan that they have to Gerav the Suvarna Vidhana Sauda, that won't be allowed, because they will be made to stop at a certain point. Now, what as per the sources that we are learning right now is that they will be made to stop at Raghavendra layout, and there they will be allowed to take up their convention and not move a step forward as well. They won't be let to Gerav the Suvarna Vidhana Sauda, where the winter session is on of the Karnataka, the short winter session. So that's the kind of an elaborate arrangement, as you asked, is being made on ground. But meanwhile, you see people of the community are in fact joining in the Swamiji now, demanding for a 2A reservation, because so far they come under 3B reservation, where there's a 5% of reservation, and they've been asking for the government to increase it to the 15% reservation, because they say they are from a backward community and they deserve to be included under 2A. But on the other hand, there is a technical challenges, in fact, that the state government also has it to include them under a 2A reservation.
How much the Lingayat community is trying to ride, or rather milk to their advantage, the fact that elections are around the corner for the state of Karnataka? Because remember, the Lingayat community is, a community which is also largely appeased by the BJP in Karnataka, and we've seen occasions when even the Congress in Karnataka has tried to reach out to the Lingayat community.
Well, this is an interesting question as well, but yes, of course, the Lingayat community plays a very important role because that's the dominant community here. Almost 16 to 17% of the population in the Karnataka is in fact of Lingayat community, and Panchamasali happens to be the one of the subsect of the Lingayat community who's been demanding this reservation to the government. But yes, to talk about it more politically as well, we have seen how this community plays a major role for any party who want to come into the power. This community backing any leader, in fact, changes the fortune of the leader or the government, that we can clearly say as well. Because you see, in 1990, when Rajiv Gandhi had come down to Bangalore for a meet, in fact, here, so that's when he at the airport itself for the continuous riots that were taking place in the Karnataka, and the government was in fact been at a bad side for that reason, and that's when Rajiv Gandhi in fact declared openly, without taking any leaders into the confidence, that Virendra Patil, who was the a chief minister then and a Congress leader, was been made to step down from his post without giving a proper clarity. So that really upset the Lingayat community, because it was because of the Lingayat community that Virendra Patil had come to the power, and that somewhere upset this community, seeming like that the community does not play a role, or the state government does not know the importance of this community. And you see how the community also gave it back right then, that the later point it was the BJP government, and especially the Yadurappa, B.S. Yadurappa, the former chief minister, who also happens to be the tallest leader from the Panchamasali community, was being given an opportunity. And since then till date, BJP has enjoyed this vote share, votes of the Panchamasali, because this plays a major role for them. And in fact, Yadurappa also considering almost 10% of the vote shares majorly comes from the Lingayat community itself. So that's how you see things have panned out earlier as well. Now this becomes the right time for the community as well to put out their word to the government, saying that either do it, because this is the last and a final call that they are giving it to the state government. If not now, then the repercussion is going to be there in the upcoming 2023 assembly election. So that's the kind of an ultimatum that the community is also giving it to the CM Basuraj Bommai. But meanwhile, you see what the community themselves also have to say is that there's a lot of politics that is also being played here, because you see Jayam Mrutyunjaya Swami, who is leading this whole protest, he on himself went on to say that there are few ministers, cabinet ministers, in fact, who are stopped.
Welcome back. Neither male nor female. That's the tweet TMC's Kirti Azad made today while commenting on the traditional attire the Prime Minister wore on his recent visit to Meghalaya. No wonder he had to later delete it. It was seen as extremely offensive to the Indian PM. But also remember, TMC wants to expand all across the Northeast and give a fight to the BJP, and such a jibe could well have dented its fortunes. Now, the tweet may have been deleted, but was the damage already done? And did the jibe showcase an inherent derogatory attitude towards the Northeast and its traditions? That debate is coming up.
This is not an attack on Prime Minister Modi, but it is in fact an attack on the culture, on the traditional attire of the tribal people of Meghalaya, of the Northeast.
Tushar Gupta is senior editor, Swarajya magazine. Riju Datta is from the TMC. Pramod Swami is an activist who belongs to the Northeast as well. Gentlemen, this is a short debate, so I request you to be quick with your responses. Riju Datta, the kind of comment that Kirti Azad made, it is offensive on many counts. Two I have pointed out. One, he's neither male nor female. Is that the kind of jibe that should be made against the Prime Minister of this country? And the attire that the Prime Minister was donning is a traditional tribal attire. Why mock it?
Right off the bat, I just want to say All India Trinamool Congress, we uphold India's diversity and respect the vibrant culture of our nation. We celebrate the ethnic traditions of diverse people and strive to empower them. We are the primary opposition in Meghalaya. So, all in all, a three-time parliamentarian, national hero who was a part of the 1984 World Cup winning squad, from him a tweet like this is condemnable. We do not support it. We think that it's a very irresponsible tweet, and in no way it reflects the All India Trinamool Congress's views. for the people of the Northeast, for the tribal community, or for that matter, any backward class. Let me put that on record. And I believe being a three-time, again I will reiterate my point, that being a three-time parliamentarian and a national hero, Mr. Azad should have been a lot more responsible about it.
Okay, but the mindset that he displays while attacking the Prime Minister, I mean, you've spoken about the Northeast element, but let's say this wasn't about a traditional attire. Saying something like he's neither male nor female, is that okay?
No, absolutely. See, I have not voted for Mr. Narendra Modi, but the fact remains that he is my honorable Prime Minister. I can attack the ideology and the policies of BJP. I cannot attack the individual Narendra Modi. There is a political line that we do not cross.
Okay.
And I believe that shouldn't have been crossed. But saying that, I believe also that Mr. Azad himself has put out a statement on Twitter that it was not his intention. He just wanted to point out that everywhere the Prime Minister goes, he dons the traditional attire. He's a fashionable Prime Minister.
No, but that's exactly the point. No, Riju Datta, if the Prime Minister goes especially to the Northeast, that dons the traditional attire in the Northeast, why is that a point of attack for Mr. Kirti Azad? On any level, I'm not understanding it. But let me
I think the best person to answer that will be Mr. Azad himself.
Fair enough. Pramod Swami is joining us. Pramod Swami, do you sometimes get an impression that a lot of people who don't hail from the Northeast, I mean, I'm sorry to say, but, you know, come from North India or South India, they have a tendency to mock Northeast and its traditions because it's so different looking, and even political leaders are guilty of it, even somebody like Kirti Azad who is well traveled?
Yeah, definitely. कीर्ति आजाद जी ने जो स्टेटमेंट दिया है, न नर है न नारी है, केवल है ये फैशन के पुजारी, ये इनका जो स्टेटमेंट है, ये इनकी घटिया मानसिकता का परिचायक है। और कीर्ति आजाद जी ने मेघालय की सभ्यता संस्कृति, नॉर्थ ईस्ट की सभ्यता और संस्कृति का ही सिर्फ अपमान नहीं किया है, बल्कि सनातन धर्म का भी अपमान किया है। क्योंकि सनातन धर्म में हम लोग जो है सनातनी लोग वो अर्धनारीश्वर शिव और शक्ति की पूजा करते हैं। तो कीर्ति आजाद जी जो एक समय क्रिकेटर भी रहे हैं, क्रिकेटर के नाते हम उनका सम्मान करते हैं, लेकिन राजनीति में वो भारतीय जनता पार्टी में भी थे, फिर भारतीय जनता पार्टी के बाद में अभी उन्होंने टीएमसी में शामिल हुए, कांग्रेस में भी कई दल उन्होंने बदले हैं। तो मेरे को लगता है ये उनका फ्रस्ट्रेशन है, और ये फ्रस्ट्रेशन सिर्फ कीर्ति आजाद जी का नहीं है। जो भारत का जो विपक्ष है वो उसके पास में कोई इश्यू नहीं रह गया है की जो लोकप्रियता है वो पूरे विश्व में उनकी जो लोकप्रियता उसको देख करके विपक्ष कहीं ना कहीं हताश हो चुका है। इसीलिए विपक्ष के जो नेता है समय समय पर, चाहे खड़गे जी हो, चाहे सोनिया जी हो, चाहे कीर्ति आजाद जी हो, चाहे मणिशंकर अय्यर हो, वो प्रधानमंत्री के बारे में जिस तरह के शब्दों का प्रयोग करते हैं ये लोकतंत्र में उचित नहीं है। और वाजपेयी जी ने भी कहा था कि राजनीति में मतभिन्नता हो सकती है, मतभेद हो सकते हैं, लेकिन मनभेद नहीं होने चाहिए, और वार जो है वो कमर के नीचे नहीं होना चाहिए। तो नहीं होना चाहिए।
तुषार गुप्ता also. Tushar Gupta, you know, even the jibe in itself, it's just so childish, right? He compared it to a woman's dress that was available, I think on some platform, I'm not sure. But that also shows your lack of awareness about what the Prime Minister was wearing.
Absolutely, Shivani, spot on there. And it also shows a lack of understanding about the customs, about the traditions, about the culture of the Northeast, which Mamata Banerjee wants to contest in. We saw she was contesting in Tripura last year, and she wants to be the principal opposition in Meghalaya, perhaps even win some seats for 2024. Nevertheless, Shivani, it's become a routine with the TMC. You look what they did with President Murmu when the comment was made by Akhil Giri just in November about her looks. It was considered to be anti-tribal, and it was, and Mamata Banerjee had to apologize for that remark. You look just a few days back, someone from the TMC was saying Amit Shah and Narendra Modi are like Duryodhan and Dushasan. Today we have this. So it's become routine for the TMC to use derogatory statements, words, phrases, not just for the Prime Minister, but for the President or anyone who's in the opposition and not in the TMC. And this is perhaps coming from the top. This is coming from the top. This mindset, this mockery, it's coming from the top, from the leader herself.
In this case, Kirti Azad, of course, had to delete that tweet, and Riju Datta is saying that tweet was condemnable. It's a rare occasion when a political party actually comes out and condemns the actions or the words of their own party leader. Do you think that's because this tweet could actually harm them in other northeastern states?
Absolutely, Shivani, without a doubt. They are looking at the political mileage they can get out of this. They are looking at the political cost of it. Because look at the kind of statements Mahua Moitra made. Remember the controversy with the whole Durga worshipping and how she defended her statements one after the other. So for the TMC, it's about making derogatory statements routinely against the BJP, against Prime Minister, against everyone who doesn't support the TMC. But when it suits their political narrative, they'll come out and apologize for it, like Mamta Banerjee did for Accuses, like Riju Datta is doing today on your show.
Riju, the cost was too high when it came to the jibe against the president and when it comes to this dig on a traditional tribal attire. And that's why the response has been so prompt.
No, absolutely not, Shivani. See, Trinamool Congress never stands beside any party leader, for that matter, making any asinine comment on any social media. We don't do that. We say our piece very straightforward. But I will just like to inform Mr. Swaraj here, sitting here, do you not remember how the Honorable Prime Minister insulted the only woman Chief Minister in the country, Didi? Do you not know how Shubhendu Adhikari, day in and day out, the loser of the opposition in Bengal, abuses Mamata Banerjee, the only female Chief Minister in the country? So please don't act holier than thou. What Kirti Azad's comment? Condemnable. We don't support it, and it was not supposed to be made from a responsible person like him. But please don't act holier than thou just to please your BJP master.
Okay, he's not Mr. Swaraj. His name is Tushar Gupta. Please address him properly. I'll give Tushar some opportunity to respond.
Look, again, it denotes the mindset. I'm again asking this same question, Shivani. Why is it that every second week we are debating, we are deliberating over some very derogatory remark that was made by some TMC minister?
Mr. Swami on the panel suggests, Tushar, that that's because of the desperation. There is some sort of a competition going on who can mock the Prime Minister better.
I mean, if they are looking to compete with the Congress, it's going to be a tight competition. But if their competition is for 2024 and the Lok Sabha elections, I don't think TMC is a competition to the BJP outside West Bengal. So if this is political desperation, they should actually channelize it someplace else, because these derogatory remarks are not going to get them anywhere, especially with the electorate. I mean, the Prime Minister may not care about these remarks, but the people of Meghalaya, they will remember. The people of Northeast, they will remember.
Yeah, Mr. Swami, I'll give you final 30 seconds as well. Northeast के लोगों के बारे में काफ़ी comments किए जाते हैं, कुछ टिप्पणियाँ की जाती है और उनके अटायर के बारे में अगर कोई सीनियर लीडर ऐसे बोलता है तो क्या आपको लगता है कि उनकी भावनाएं इससे त्रस्त होंगी?
नहीं, बिल्कुल। नॉर्थ ईस्ट के लोगों के वेशभूषा, उनके चेहरे के ऊपर में इस तरह के रिमार्क्स जो है वो आम लोग करते थे, लेकिन आम लोगों के अलावा अगर एक सांसद और एक पार्टी का अगर नेता इस तरह के बयानबाजी करने लगे तो ये काफी दुखदायक है। हालांकि टीएमसी के जो प्रवक्ता है उन्होंने खुद इस बात की निंदा की है, लेकिन मैं चाहूंगा कि टीएमसी की जो नेता है, सर्वोच्च नेता ममता बनर्जी, वो खुद इस बात को संज्ञान लेकर करके कीर्ति आजाद जी के विरुद्ध सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई करे, ताकि क्योंकि जो प्रधानमंत्री होता है वो किसी पार्टी का नहीं होता है, वो पूरे देश का होता है।
Right. In fact, in this case, it was a bit of a double whammy. It was an insult to the Prime Minister, but also the mocking of a traditional tribal attire. I do thank all three of our guests for joining us. With that, it's time for me to wrap up Brass Tacks. My colleague Greya is now joining you next.
Hello and welcome. You're watching News Epicenter with me, Grihatul Siddiqui. COVID isn't over yet. If the reports coming out of China are anything to go by, then our guards that have of late come down need to be brought back up. And it can start with the basic, masking up. Pressing into action, the Prime Minister chaired an emergency meet this evening to review the status and the preparedness of public health response to COVID-19. Even in the national capital, Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal convened a press conference talking about the infrastructural preparedness in the wake of a fresh wave hitting. So states are battle stations, hospitals are being strengthened, and thermal screening of international passengers is being implemented across a few airports. In fact, Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia has also urged citizens to wear masks, use sanitizers and maintain social distancing. 4 BF.7 Omicron cases have been reported in India so far, which is the same variant that is fueling the surge in China, by the way. Health experts are of the opinion, though, that replication of what happened in China is unlikely to happen in India, as we enjoy hybrid immunity and the experience
of the Delta wave has given us an idea about the pressure on our healthcare system. The World Health Organization, though, is very concerned over the evolving situation in China with increasing reports of severe disease, considering